Kiambo, Natatanzambi Yamazu, Kimfumo Kyaku Isa, Hallelujah, Matonda Masakaji Baba for this time. I want to say Betu to all the Bana Betu and Yisolele that are watching. I'm also going to say greetings to anyone else that is watching. I give honor to Yah, to the Mwana Semi, all the Yah Kongo, all the ancestors of Yisolele, to our grandfather Bana, Saka and Yakubi, all of the lineage, down to Adama, those of us who are scattered across the earth, four corners, and are returning, because there are some success stories. We are people are returning from the scattered. Hallelujah. I want to give honor to all those that are in this awakening. There's a lot of names now that are talking in this awakening. But I want to, this is going to be a topic very controversial because it's starting to play out more and more as we see the agenda unfolding. I know Masa did a video today, but Ingeta did a video today. I saw some stuff that Issachar's been doing, which is, some interesting things that are being talked about. I have seen several things happening that are worthy of taking note, because this is kind of what I was expecting, because it only makes perfect sense now. What we know, the teachers of Simon Toko and all the things that went down with the Tokuists and the Kimbanguists, that it only makes sense after the ultimatum went out that this would be the response. So what am I talking about? One of the things that the devil has always been famous for is what we call the bait and switch. So from the beginning of time, he'll bait you into something, and then he'll flip it and switch it on you, and you're left hanging out in the dry, out in the cold, and you've been made a fool of in front of the Most High. Something that's very common. I know this is something even I know about. Many of us, we have fallen short. All of us, as I say, fallen short of Tatanzambi's glory, grace. I'm super sorry. I'm yawning. Long day. Thank you for those who prayed for my wife's surgery in our assembly. She's recovering. Hopefully she'll be better soon. What am I going to talk about? The Most High is going to show me some things. To the messenger. So one of the things that we're very much aware of when it came to colonial times and even now is what we call the control factor. So I know there's a lot of things going on in South Africa. I have said my prayers for those people to come to the understanding of what's going on. The one thing I can tell you from people I know from experience that have been in politics is that when it comes to politicians, nothing's ever what you think it is. Because one of the things that has always been somewhat of a deceptive thing about politics, and yes, the Most High, he does have a hand in various things, always. However, one of the things that has a tendency to happen is what we call the influencers, those who come in and make threats to make sure that the narrative stays where it's at, or there's those who are in charge do not see too much deviation from the previous things. South America is famous for this. South Africa, leaders being taken out because of certain groups of people who are looking to control the narrative. So one thing we now know of, and this I know, I can tell you this was the response. So when the Most High brought down the Malekis to Congo, when Simon Toko called down the Malekis, of course, it began the independence of Umbo from many of the colonization countries because of the event. It's something I always wondered how that got started, and now I know what triggered it, that they try to change the narrative. I know they talk about the freedom fighters. We know who really the freedom fighters started off being. So, one of the things that we have a tendency to think, and this is our biggest problem in this awakening, and even in the understanding of scripture and what people don't understand, things that have been taken out or removed, is, oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be yawning. I know it's annoying. Some people say that. I apologize. But this is something that needed to be said. We don't quite comprehend the bait and the switch. The bait and the switch is exactly why many Black people today are in the state that they're in. Because as you look at the history of Yisolele and the real 12 tribes, there were always instances where, as a nation, we resulted in going into captivities. And of course, those captivities were because of disobedience. But even in our own land, there were times when we would also be disobedient. And that was where, Satan would do his thing and bait and switch us into thinking that, we can get away with this, we can get away with that. And the Most High is like, no, you're not getting away with it. Because one of the things that's always been, there's a big three that leads to our downfall when it comes to, especially with Black people, especially Bana Betu. This is why we are the tail. Oh, terribly sorry. Really sorry. Oh, so sorry. This is why we are the tail. Excuse me. And they have become the head. So one of the things that's very much a common trend since the last 500 years is the concept of manipulating the system in favor of those who are in control of it, especially after the Kingdom of Congo fell. Okay. Why is it significant? Because all the things that you're seeing happening now when it comes to many of the riots that many Black people do, even America, Europe, Asia, Africa, the biggest problem is that you only see what they allow you to see in many ways. Now, of course, there are people who have stood up against corruption. We know what the corruption system likes to do when it comes to that. I actually saw this thing that talked about how many presidents have been assassinated in Africa. Ooh. Excuse me, sorry. How many leaders have been sacrificed? So let me get to something that's going to really, now there's going to be some graphic things because it's historical, but they have the images available. So little children, please don't have them watching this. But I'm going to share my screen. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is this is the proof that you have to understand. Just because the Most High does something powerful, which, he's done a lot of great things, that doesn't mean the system of wickedness just stops. Okay. So if you'll see here, this is something that they talk about that took place. Many of people don't even know our country, especially America, that's been involved in a lot of secret op stuff, but people still believe it. This happened around the same time that Kennedy was killed. It says 40 years after the murder of Congolese independence leader Patrice Lumumba, evidence has emerged in Washington that President Dwight Eisenhower directly ordered the CIA to quote unquote eliminate him. The evidence comes in a previously unpublished 1975 interview with the minute taker at an August 1960 White House meeting of Eisenhower and his national security advisor on the Congo crisis. Now, 1960 Congo crisis is connected to what happened with, they're calling it a crisis, but it was a liberation with the Most High. So you see, when Patrice Lumumba was going to be the first president to go in the direction of what the Tokoists were trying to be like, this was the outcome. It wasn't going to happen. Okay. Now, does that mean the Most High couldn't do something about it? Of course he can. This event is now what I believe triggered the loss of Vietnam, which at the time I also think that was a rigged thing too. But it was an embarrassment for our people. And also, I'm gonna say that what happened with Toko also triggered the gas crisis of the 1970s. So it wasn't like America, and also what happened with Nixon and all that stuff that went down. A lot of people had some, but at the same time, right after this also came this. All right, so we got Malcolm. He was shot and killed in New York. Then we also had Dr. King get taken out. Now, of course, people are going to say, well, yeah, well, these were also secret society people. Yes, I got that. I understand that. But the point is, this is usually how the narrative happens when you don't. This is what goes on when you don't try to play by the rules. There's a hidden hand. They always talk about it, especially with the Kabbalah, that basically manipulates many of the systems on behalf of the fallen angels to maintain the connection of deception over the Bantu people to keep us from returning to our kingdom so that we can judge people. This just goes to tell you how serious it gets to not allow the kingdom of Congo to rise again. Okay, this is what they do. Now, same thing here. And I'm gonna make sure this, I hope this video doesn't get blocked because it's gonna talk about something. I'm gonna do it real quick where it talks about these presidents here that just recently died. I'll come off of it. You see their faces, you can rewind it. But the point is when the system tells you to do something, do we have a tendency to have our people all of a sudden just vanish? Okay. If we choose to do something that's against it, or to try to go out and change the narrative, as we saw what happened with the president of Haiti. Now, one thing that's going to be also very clear, this is one of the things I talked to my brother Abi about. Okay, this right here is also connected to a lot of, it's not a coincidence that you have this happening in Texas at the same time you're having this happening in South Africa. So what I'm going to say is the system that we have in place is what they call, just for lack of a better word, trigger the niggers. Okay, what they mean is that your intention is kind of like what happened with like George Floyd, some of these other killings that happen, is that you just think you see one thing when really the system is doing something else. So like, for example, for those that don't know, this, of course, I've seen the photos that surfaced that Floyd and his brother were both Freemasons. I didn't know that what the Most High was showing me when they actually used him as the example for the fact that we were waking to our Messiah, because it had the resemblance. Many people didn't even know that it was a way for them, for Satan. What he does is he does the bait and switch. So like, you think that this cop shot this black man so you can create a riot, when you don't even realize that was actually the intent. Because Satan knows who you are, you don't. Satan knows the truth, we've been denied it. So what he likes to do is create scenarios where Bantu people, especially, or black people, will cause hatred for one another because we get baited and we get switched. So this is something that even happened to like King Mani Congo in the Kingdom of Congo. He was baited and switched. What's his name? I want to call what is his name? It'll come to me. But what I mean, the example is, Shaka Zulu. So like Shaka Zulu, he was, because you see what's happening now in South Africa. Many of the things that happened to many of the African kings was what they call the bait and the switch. So what you do, you come in there, and I remember that there's this old saying. Let's see if I can find it. Yep, here we go. This old saying, temeo danaos e dona ferentes. I guess. Beware of Greeks bearing gifts. So one of the things our forefathers never seemed to learn, and this is the same problem even today, we trust the Gentiles way too much when it comes to the interactions we have with them. Now, am I saying all Gentiles are bad? No, because there are those that just don't know what's going on. They're clueless because they're just as dumbed down as we are. They don't know what's really going on because they're also kept in the dark, but there are those who do. So the Greco-Roman intention of those who created it, contrary to what you think, it was the Bantu people who invented Christianity because of what we allowed to happen. And Simon Toko talks about that in the book Maimonides that Masa wrote. We are also responsible for why Judaism took place, because our elders that rejected Yesiah and the teachings of the Abba Fundi, the disciples, the other people, the Sanhedrin and all the others, they continued to move forward, rejecting, which is what started the war against Rome. We started the war against Rome. They didn't. So the misconception, the Greco-Roman war that we're still fighting today, as Bana Betu started because we started the war against Rome after what happened when Messiah died. That war has not ended. This is one of the reasons they were all too happy to show up in Embo and continue that concept when the Most High got upset that we were still messing up and worshiping false gods that we shouldn't have, and then we turn around and worship the other false gods that really mess us up. Okay, because we were worshiping the gods that were mixed in with the Hamite religions, and then this is the Most I said, we never stop worshiping Baal. We just cannot seem to stop that, and it's happening even today. And so the leaders of the societies that we run are connected to Baal, and I'll prove it. It doesn't, like the Most I said, I don't say, it says right here, when Paula was talking about, dear brethren, I beseech ye, be as I am, Ngai, so for Ngai, as ye are, you have not injured me at all. So of course, this is what we try to talk about is, even in the scriptures, we have controversy that was going on with the Abafundi. But the problem is that just like Paul is saying, this is why the Most High says, I got to be like this to myself. Okay, he says, I'm not going to let what you do in the flesh injure me. Because we have a lot of people out here acting in the flesh, thinking that they're in the spirit. I'm not saying because I'm guilty, charged. I'm still, many of us are still trying to overcome this fleshy world. But the problem is, we have to walk as if when somebody says something to us, but we know the Most High wants us to preach through Yesiah, so that they see Yesiah through us, okay, then you cannot allow people to just inflict any type of harm. So like you see what happened with these people that were killed, okay, obviously there were things going on that kind of relates to this, where because these people told the truth, it goes down to where it says, am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? And that's basically what a lot of these people suffered for, was because when they started to actually tell the truth, that was a problem. Okay, because when the real truth is the enemy of the world. So that's why they use that to our advantage, because like I mentioned the big three. I meant to talk about that. The big three that they get us with is pride, lust, and jealousy. Okay, Yisolele was always very jealous. That started even with King Dawidi and Sola. We also were very prideful. That started with Solomon when he turned his way to other gods. Okay, he allowed Moloch to mislead him. We see that with the Sanhedrin, or our elders who were incorporated with them, that there was pride there. Okay, And then, of course, lust. Now, when we say lust, it doesn't always have to be about women or men. It can also be about things we desire that we should not. Okay. So we will do whatever it takes at times to put ourselves in a favorable position financially. When we forgot the Most High said, I can provide things for you. You don't have to turn it into a big old competition. But see, one of the things that has happened, and this is happening all over the world, because this is how you know it's an intentional act of the bait and the switch that continues to happen with the devil and the fallen angels, is that you have to present the image so that people won't question the tactics or the intent of what you're going to be doing behind closed doors. Okay. What am I saying? I'm saying that when you saw with these people who got killed, okay, there was obviously an agenda to silence those who wish to bring forth certain knowledge, okay, that will um, destroy the that will cause problems for the establishment. Why is this important? It's important because if we don't stay one voice now, especially in this awakening, then once again, it becomes the scenario of bait and switch. See, because what is going to happen now, there are those who still haven't lost the pride or jealousy aspect of certain things, and then of course also the lust as well. But so what is happening is that it's going to result in the same problem here. You're not paying attention. You're not seeing the real threat sneaking in the back door, just like these people. I mean, think about it. You know, who would have thought? I mean, the same thing that happened to that president in Haiti happened to Lumumba, where he was betrayed by his own people. Um, Massa was telling me about the president who fought Toko for 30 years. I mean, that was a Bantu. So, and of course, who's there now is still part of the issue. But in reality, we don't understand. Okay, where it says, I'll go back up where it says, you know how through infirmity of the flesh. Now think about it. Infirmity means sickness. So when you're actually dealing with infirmities, that's usually because you're in the flesh. But it can also mean your flesh is also dealing with spiritual problems. Okay. So he's saying, you know how through infirmity of the flesh, I preached the gospel unto you at first. And what he was saying is this is when he was going out killing people with the our elders and the Khazars that were around at the time as well, that he was going out and he thought that he was doing everything right. And then he was like, nah, then he got changed by Yesiah. And then he said, and my temptation, which was in my flesh, ye despise not, nor rejected, but received me as an angel, as a Malaki of the Most High, even as Yisuklistu. So he's saying that the temptation of the flesh, so he's saying that you didn't reject him for what he did. Now he received him as someone who was able. Where is then the blessedness you speak of? So he's looking for, okay, so now I'm showing us where is your reward for this. For I bear record that if it had been possible, you would have plucked out your own eyes and have given them to me. I am therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth. So he's saying that in this regard, I'm sure this is a Bantu culture thing that's probably not quite actually translated, but it's like I mean, here it is that you would have done these things for me. Okay, no, it's like they say that people when they trust you now they'll do what they'll run through a wall, type of thing. And so he's saying that before I was in the flesh, you still, feared me. Now I became a Maliki. So where is now the blessing that go along with that? And he's saying, thy zealousy affect you, but not well. Yea, they would exclude you that ye might affect them. But it's good to be zealously affected always in a good thing, and not only when I'm present with you. So like we always talk about having a zeal for the Most High, a zeal for Satan Zombie, but in the right way. So sadly, what you see happening, and this is going on even in America, Britain, South America, Asia, you see people who they have a zeal. Oh, terribly sorry. Oh, so sorry. Um, you have all these people that have a zeal for their people, but they're behaving in the flesh. So they're looking for redemption through the means that's going to only result in more tragedy, which is why we have forgotten. And like we're trying to remind people, we fought our war spiritually, which was the whole purpose of how, with power. The reason why we're dealing with so many heartaches is because we've lost that power. And many people, because their identity has been stripped from them and we don't know it, they always believe they have the power because of the deception of, what the Gentiles have taught. And also what they believe if they've heard in real life from their family members. The problem is we don't take into consideration that there's a better way besides getting physical all the time. There's a better way. You let the Most High fight for you, okay, instead of you always wanting to fight. Big difference, okay? So with our people, we've forgotten that we let Tatanzambi fight for us. Like he says, if 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 you be for us, who can be against us? And he's talking about the Maliki Kongo, all of them, in the Most High. If we be for the Most High, then you have now the whole host of the Malekis on your side. But because of our carnality, oh, so sorry. Because of our carnality, we now see people getting put in positions where people are destroying one another. Because this is exactly what the bait and switch is. Satan's intent is that he needs the chosen people to cause themselves to curse one another while deceiving the unchosen people about all the things that's going on with us. Just like when they had the murder, and it's always like you could tell that. That's why I told people, man, some of these high level things that we get set up for that. They pick people like us. I mean, like most times, and I've learned this just from talking to people, that the people who actually committed the crime are not the ones that they put in the media, because the whole concept right now is to create an image of the black man as the greatest threat to ever walk the earth, especially Bantu people. So as long as they can succeed in that mindset, and also, very wild and crazy and acting like certain things that we shouldn't. This is all part of the brainwashing of the system that we've been through. And now, in order for us to really begin a foothold above the others, we have to come out of this mindset, So something that I saw, okay, this is interesting. And it goes back to this, when the South seceded. Now, it was made to look like, excuse me, there was a civil war for the American people over the slaves, when the really hidden agenda was to get Jacob to kill each other on both sides. That is what you're about to see now. Okay, with what Texas did, don't be surprised. I don't know what's going to happen. You're going to see the same thing happen in different states. And what they're doing is what you call a form of seceding. Now you say, oh, well, the military can't get, yeah, the military can get split up, trust me, because the generals can always play that out. And see, this is why, if you look at what's the intentions of what's coming, is to try to pull off. And I seen a video that I can't remember. I was watching a video one time where it showed the plane was up in the air and the bombs were flying around underneath. But it was funny because they were flying. It was weird because in the video I saw, they were flying over the United States. But what was happening was the nuclear missiles or the bombs that were firing weren't going to Russia or anywhere else. They were flying in the interior of the United States. Okay. So if we were to have a civil war between the militaries, okay, you now have a military that it's not shooting with cannons and horses anymore and muskets. Now you have a military that can, fighter jets shooting at each other, nuclear bombs bombing each other, all this different stuff can go on. Which, when you look at how the devil operates, that is exactly what he prefers to see. Okay. He prefers to see, like how the warning came out when we talked about this thing. This is going to be the response, just like what happened when the Most High sent the angels. He responded by killing Patrice Malumba. Okay. So we have a misconception. Don't think that just because we're saying what we're saying, that these people are going to just kowtow and be like, okay, fine, cool, we just sit here. No, it's not going to happen. They're going to do everything that they can to change the narrative, cause more harm, because every time the Pharaoh says no, that's exactly what happens. Okay. And bring about real chaos, which is what we're about to see. Real chaos. That's why I don't know what the Most High going to do, but a lot of us are trying to get out of here soon. But it's all part of this whole judgment thing, though, because they think they're doing it to themselves, when really the Most High, I mean, even Rothschild and all these other 9 families of the lords of Rothschild, they so convinced. But see, you remember their daddy is, who, and he still has to obey, even though he may not always say it. And of course, he acts to the contrary when he tried. Like I've seen, like that's why when they put the Book of Jasher, and I was telling you, this is why, like Masa was saying, you got to be careful who you see in the flesh, because one of the things that happened when and that's what I said, the bait and switch all the time. He impersonated people to other people who were significant. So, like for example, when there's in the Book of Jasher, if I figure this out, Bana was getting ready to sacrifice Saka, and one of the things that Shaitani did was to become a boy and a young man, and try to convince him that he doesn't need to do this. Of course, but then on the same time, when the Most High provided the ram in the thicket, he went to go grab it from Abana so that he couldn't make the sacrifice, because then it would have fulfilled the covenant that he knew would lead to the arrival of the Messiah down the road. So he was like, no, and then at the same time he turned, like I was saying, he turned himself into water. And they mocked that in a movie when I saw The Mummy, when that dude he blew the river, and it's like, ugh. Okay. It isn't that the Most High's power isn't greater than it is not able to do anything about it. It's that you cannot be mistaken, and you have to understand, just because we serve the mightiest power in the universe and he's able to do all things, that doesn't mean the wannabe God it's kind of like the same, like I told you. Remember the story of Pharaoh. Okay. Pharaoh didn't care. He's like, I don't care who this God is. This is what's going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. Well, now you have 1,000,001 pharaohs. You got pharaohs that are acting in Africa as leaders. You have pharaohs in America. You have pharaohs in Britain. You have all these different pharaohs of Yisolele. And they're like, we don't recognize this power, this God, so we don't care. So we're going to do this, this, and this, and this to you, including the possibility of destroying you. That's what they want. Because they understand what happens is, like I told you, Satani knows who can judge and who cannot. This has been the lie of religion for so many years. We just didn't know because of all the deception that was being taught. Now, of course, people are going to continue to stick where they want to be. Hey, that's your choice. You know, the Most High, he's telling us to shake our sandals, because in all reality, these people have a plan and they're going to execute it. And the whole attempt is that the Most High will run an interference, especially for those who are selected, because we know, see, nobody understands. If the Most High says 2/3 has to die, how are they going to die? Things have to happen. Okay. So you don't want to be one of the part of the 2/3. You know, that's why I sit here and listen to some of these Christians keep talking. What they don't even understand that climate change is the Messiah fighting for his people. He's the lamb that they're going to war with. And they're mocking it so that you don't know. They're calling it, oh yes, this isn't, and all these different things. All right, anyway, I just wanted to do this quick video because we need to understand the bait and switch concept is going to get more intense. You have to pay attention. Okay, that's why Hamashiach said can deceive even the very elect. That's why I try to tell people that just because somebody looks and is acting like they're a part of this awakening, you're going to be shocked to watch them flip it on you. And you realize, what? And then at that point, you begin to look like, wait a minute, are you trustworthy or not? Because see, one of the things that's going to continue to happen, and I'll go to where it talks about in Ezekiel 34, it says, and the word of Tatanzami came upon me saying, Benamuntu, prophesy against the shepherds. So he's telling Ezekiel to prophesy against the shepherd of Yisolele, and prophesy and say to him, thus says Tatanzami, Umfumu, unto the shepherds, woe be to the shepherds of Yisolele that feed themselves. So what you're having now is that even in this awakening, you're having a lot of shepherds that are their bread that they're spitting out is for their own gratification and their own means. It's not feeding anybody else but themselves in many cases. Now, does that mean it's happening all the time? No, because they have to still look legit. Okay. But the point is, you have to really pay attention to this, to the message is what you're telling me going to help me get closer to the Most High, or are you just talking just to be talking? Okay. You know, that's one of the reasons why when I'm here talking to people, it's like, it's not about, yeah, I'm giving you a little bit of history. Yeah, I'm showing you some things that happen. I'm showing you the way the system can actually manipulate you into doing something you shouldn't because of how deceived we are when it comes to this, to what's going on. But at the same time, you're seeing that the biggest threat has always been to Yisolele is our own shepherds. We have been, you know, the one thing that with the bait and switch that Satan did is to get us to destroy ourselves from within, which is one of the things that's happening now, even with America and other places, is that the Most High is reversing that. Now these other countries are going to start destroying themselves from within, and the corrupt leaders are going to fall. See, I'm waiting to see how these EMBO presidents and whatnot are going to respond when the Most High actually comes down to Africa, because they're going to be gone, you know. And that's one of the things that people don't understand is, you know, it says, should not the shepherd feed the flocks? Ye eat the fat and you clothe you with the wool. You kill them that are fed, but you feed not the flock. The disease have not yet strengthened, neither have you healed with which was sick, neither have you bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away. So like he's saying, right now, this is really a future prophecy, even for us today, that when the Most High has called you to become like a shepherd, because it does say he will start to bring shepherds to his flock. As he starts to gather his people out of their captivity, he's going to put shepherds over them, and you have those that are going to be like this. They feed themselves, acting like they're feeding the sheep, but really what's happening is they're actually doing their own thing and not doing what the Most High has instructed them to do, which is why you're getting so many controversial things happening. And like I said, the enemy is so slick with it because he wants to create the animosity that keeps us from becoming a nation. But like the Most High said, the issue is going to get forced now. There's nothing they can do. They're going to continue to fight, but there's nothing that they can do. So it's very important to realize, hallelujah, that in this day and age, to not understand the enemy's intentions, that many of the things that look what they look like on the surface, but actually are something else, you have to pay close attention, because you will, in many, this is even for myself, you will find yourself going the wrong way. I'm just saying, because you see what they're doing now. They're creating so much misdirection, it's not even funny. And we have our own people in the middle of it helping out as gatekeepers, and they will be dealt with, okay? But you also have others who are doing, trying to run interference, but again, they become controlled or targeted or killed off because they're trying to actually bring you back to the good pasture. But our own shepherds, our own people are helping the false shepherds continue to take us out. Okay. Does that mean we don't get angry about things that are happening to us? No, but there's a way to handle it. That's what the Most High is trying to get us to understand. The reason why Black people are scattered right now is because we didn't always go to Tatanzambi in prayer. We did not go to the Most High in prayer when we're dealing with all things. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to make that quick video. You know, this was not anything about trying to, you know, be attacking or whatever. All I'm saying is if you're not paying, and I mean, there's some things I even got to do right now. I hope one of my brothers, I'm trying to talk to him about it tomorrow, y'all willing, about getting things rolling on this, because I was talking to this guy and he says, yeah, I'm one of the people, I'm in the know. And literally he said that, oh yeah, it's about to go down. And see, when I'm looking at what's going on Twitter right now, it's looking like it's about to go down, because if the states, you can see where the whole election debacle is starting to catch steam again. Now you're seeing where people are actually going along with it, where they're like, what? You know, but it's all part of the bait and switch. While you're focusing on that, this is happening. That's what they do. While you're looking at, that's how they do the magic trick. Many things, the concept that they use in our society when it keeps under control and deceive, is like the rabbit in the hat. You focus on where the rabbit went, but didn't see what happened on this other side. Oh, it came out from over there. Wow, what happened? Okay. The art of distraction for any group of people is to show them something so mesmerizing, okay, which is where mesmerizing comes from witchcraft, because they're going to get you locked in. I mean, not always. I mean, it could come from it could come from the Most High too, because he gets you locked in too. But you see, like, they want to mesmerize you over here, the frequency, so that you get so caught up. And like, this is how America was done. They got us so caught up, and like I was talking about in the previous video, with the over obligation and the modified teachings of Christianity and Islam and Judaism and all these other religions. You know, what they tend to do is, like Master says, they make it up in many cases, and you just buy it hook, line, and sinker, and they laugh because they made it up. And you think that you're going in the right direction when you're really not. You're going backwards. And that's why he's saying now you're going to see the end result of us, the many of us who are going backwards are going to realize we made a mistake. Because our going backwards means we started to believe the things we were being told by the slave masters or the colonialism, or we're starting to, we've gotten conditioned to believe and trust in this system when the system itself is rigged against you. Okay. All you gotta do is just look at what's happening now, and you'll see the system is rigged against you. That's how I learned. It's like, wow, you know, the Most High was like, yeah, this system is rigged against you because you are not what you think you are. And that's part of the issue. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to do that quick video. Sambalola family, Zola Klingi. And, you know, where's a Kuswa Kongo Kutwala? You know, as we move forward in this time, you're seeing things now becoming at a rapid pace. So things are changing very quickly. All right, Ingeta, Sambalola.